my thought around this is just have a conversation, really, just to catch up with people, see what's happening around the world, get different viewpoints on what's happening. But also too, a few people have asked if we can record the session. So I'm hoping that, is that okay with everybody if we just have this recorded so we can send that out to people in the Northern Hemisphere. It's 3 o'clock in the morning for them. But a few people couldn't make it, so I thought we'd have that. And also too, you notice that we've got the chat function. So if you've got any questions or anything like that, either open up your microphone, ask a question, put it in the chat area. We'll check that out as we go. And prior to this, I just asked if people had some questions that they wanted to cover off on. And there seemed to be a common theme around innovation, team building, and also connecting. And I thought it'd be interesting just for us to have a chat. So not for me to lead this in any formal way, but just have a chat by way of innovation. Has anybody done anything different in the last 4 weeks?
Oh yes, I have started working virtually, remotely. I've done spits and spots of that, but to now do it full time is extremely difficult, and especially if you're working with different technologies, because one meeting is on Zoom, the other one is on Teams, the other one is on something else. I mean, to try and find all the buttons and make it all work, and it's extremely challenging.
Yeah, right.
This is our world right now, but yeah, and technology, I think the biggest frustration for me was, or still currently is, the frustration with technology. You try and you just can't make this thing work. So that can be an ongoing, that is
yeah.
But otherwise, good.
Otherwise, anybody else had that experience? Hold up your hand. Everybody, yeah. So it's really interesting that there's a whole lot of work around, Price Waterhouse has done a lot of work around the future of work and 2030. And I can't stop thinking that the coronavirus has basically brought the 2030 into 2020. So everything that's needed for 2030 is here. It's just that we've crashed the timeline, and
that's an understatement. Yeah.
We've got 10 years in a very short space of time. That's interesting. Who else has done things differently in the last 4 weeks?
Okay.
Go on, Joe. Go ahead, and then John, and then Amita.
I was just going to say one comment before we move on from that.
Yeah.
One of my favorites is Moodle, the big tech company, online learning.
Yeah.
So what's going on with their business right now? I'm just writing them an audit report on their brand and marketing. And that's what's happened. It's like almost overnight, something that they envisaged wouldn't happen for another 5 or 8 years.
Yeah.
And slow adopters has just gone whack, and everyone's online. So it's sort of their model on its head. Is sort of very exciting for them. And so all these negative things out there, actually, if you think about them differently, can be actually incredibly positive.
Yeah, I've got a buddy of mine who does IT, and he's never been so busy setting up home offices, and he's had to expand staff. So I think anybody in the IT space, even when I went down to Officeworks the other day, what I noticed was home desks and chairs had sold out. As well as toilet paper, which is a worldwide problem. Yeah.
Yeah. Or standing desks.
True. John, you were going to say something, and Amita, what have you noticed in the last 4 weeks?
Well, it's pretty interesting because I work at a university setting. I'm actually now working for Nanyang Technological University in Singapore, and it really have a different feeling in this environment, because the students are here, and then you have the faculty, you have people in the research field and all that. So they're all still coming. And I think Singapore is still pretty lucky because we can still go about doing our work. We just need to be very conscious of the physical distancing and stuff like that. But now next week we're going to go full blast in working from home and telecommuting, and it's taking a lot of people well, a real big shift in terms of the way they've been doing things, right?
Yeah.
Well, I had come from commercial and I'm quite familiar with using all these tools. So a lot of them here is still pretty new. So we had started to educate them on just using the different features of the MS Teams, you know, like Marita was saying, you know, you're having calls on different platforms, and learning the different platforms is, for them, it's pretty challenging too. And the fact that Singapore, we live in a very small apartments, we don't have big houses, right? And everybody's working from home now. So you can imagine you have
Lost her.
I think technology. Hang on. Hey, so maybe,
it's a good idea to show this.
We'll hand over to John. What are you finding, John?
Well, one of the things that I am finding is getting more and more frustrating. So while we are working more and more with technology and using things like Zoom, here in Western Australia, with the type of cohort that I'm working with, it's not me and my approach to the technology that is my biggest problem. I'm finding the one-on-one people that I'm trying to coach, that I'm trying to do my work with from a distance, are really struggling with the technology. And a lot of the times the businesses that are not big businesses are also struggling with the technology. So while they want, and they still want their coaching programs to continue, it's really hard work getting that set up.
Yeah, interesting. I'm going to ask Bilal, I'm going to put you on the spot. I'm hoping that you can hear me. How are you going? Bilal's in Dubai. I'm just wondering what's happening in the Middle East. Have you had to be innovative in the last 4 weeks?
First of all, hello everybody. I'm really sorry I've been jumping in and out. There's a little bit of issues with my sound connecting here. Yeah, so technology, I guess that's the last word I picked up with people, and what I'm trying to understand is possibly we're talking about what kind of challenges we're facing when it comes to technology, and how are we keeping up with our routines in terms of work and how productive we can be. Well, what I have to admit, it was a bit of a shock when it comes a lot of our work, because my work is very much related to travels and being with people and getting a lot of stuff done, either through facilitation or coaching them through. So it was a bit of a challenge just in the beginning to adjust our routine, being at a place and then seeing how are we really going to connect with people, how we are going to use this technology, which is which is less in touch. I mean, we are not in front of the people. We can't. There is always a difference between the virtual and the reality, how it comes. But then slowly and gradually, and with the technology which is available right now, it has been quite surprising. I've been able to use this to do a lot of work around casting webinars and actually conducting some coaching sessions one-on-one, where I have been coaching others as well as being coached by my mentor coach. So I think this is slowly we are building up to the place where we are getting more familiarized with how the technology is going to help us out, as well as we are looking for opportunities. We have kind of accepted that, okay, this is one of the way going forward, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, I think it's now the new norm. Like I say, I think we're just being pushed into 2030, and everybody's on a steep learning curve. And I think that's the role of leaders in the workplace is it to inspire, or is it more to just give people the confidence to act? And I've always thought technology is going to be the driver anyhow, but how do we tap into those people that are going to pick it up, particularly the Gen Ys, millennials and things like that? Interesting. So you're in Thailand. What's happening in Thailand? What's happening out there?
Yeah, we are now almost locked down.
Yeah.
The country, I would say. Now we have a curfew at night, and my life has been changed a lot as you guys, because I got the cancellation about the 3 or 4 programs in last 4 weeks. Yeah, as you know what is happening. So the new thing that I just been talking with a friend of mine, she is my ex-boss, and she persuaded me to run a talk show. You know, it's like a talk show, it's like a TV show, but we run on the webinar in Zoom. Yeah, that we are starting, and we select some topic about because my background is from manufacturing sector, so I chose the topic around the manufacturing in Thailand and in ASEAN overall, and invited some panelists to join, and I will be like the MC, the master, the moderator. Sorry, the moderator, and I will have like 3 panelists to talk about on a certain topic about manufacturing, and we will live it. Yeah.
Okay, that's really interesting. So let's talk about team building. What are people doing to engage with people in the workplace? I'm just wondering, maybe Tony? Yeah.
Yeah, look, one of the businesses that I support at the moment is growing quite rapidly. And one of the challenges we're finding is bringing new senior people into the business in the crazy world we're in. So ordinarily, someone coming in an onboarding process would spend a week or 2 really just getting to know who's who in the zoo, building those relationships through the usual face-to-face discussion over a cup of coffee, all that sort of stuff in the office. That's not an option. And I don't know the answer yet.
I noticed Martin raised his hand, so maybe Martin, have you got something you want to add?
Yeah, I actually started a new role less than 2 weeks ago. So I've been sort of planning to suspend my consultancy for a while, and it just happened that I started a new role. Literally, less than 2 weeks ago. So I arrived on the Monday. I'm running a team of 5. Met everyone, was given a laptop. Didn't shake hands, of course. And then ever since we've been working from home, and that has obviously been pretty challenging. You're trying to manage a team that you've barely met. You're trying to do that via technology, which works for some and doesn't for others. All those sorts of problems. But this morning I probably had the best session I've had so far. So I wanted to instigate a drumbeat session once a week, just to check on the pulse of the organization. And initially I kind of had this as a little half an hour thing, but ran over a little bit. But that running over allowed the guys to have a bit of banter. In fact, we ended up all wearing different football shirts and laughing at each other's favorite team. And it sort of taught me that, yes, the technology, you tend to be quite focused and precise on the communication you want to get across, but it can also be used to allow those softer relationships to build if you're patient and you're prepared to innovate and have a laugh and just do strange things. And then this afternoon, we've got virtual Friday drinks at 4 today. So just different ways of approaching it.
Yeah, I think John, you're going to say something, and I think Janelle, you're going to say something as well.
Yeah, I pick up on what Martin's saying, and in holding our team meetings now via Zoom, I think it's really important that you accelerate and accentuate your care factor within that. So what I'm trying to do is make sure that I'm looking after the health and well-being and the welfare of my people as a priority, and then projecting business needs as a secondary item to that, and trying to keep things like that so people feel like they belong to something.
Yeah, that's funny. I got off a call earlier this morning, and I noticed like a video conference call, and I noticed a number of people were quite flat within the organisation that I'm doing a project for. So I just reached out to them one-on-one afterwards just to check in. So I think as a leader, it's just watching out for those cues about, that person that's normally upbeat, have they gone quieter? Those types of things as well. Janelle, you're going to say something? And then Marie.
Yeah, and a really, really good approach, John. Looking at the health and well-being of your employees first. I think at the moment everyone is just, I guess, still feeding off the fear and the uncertainty, and everyone's feeling really insecure, and we're all just trying to make sense of all the daily changing that's occurring. So one thing we've put in place is background noise there, a daily huddle, a standing time every day with our CEO and our exec team. We're all available for any of our managing partners to jump in and just talk to us about anything. And it's an hour, whether they jump in and jump out, we're still just working in the background and available to take calls and or questions. We've implemented things like evening yoga and the Friday afternoon virtual drinks that was just mentioned. Anything we can. It's the little things we would normally do when we're all together in a building, like sharing birthday celebrations and cake. We're now just doing it virtually and trying to keep the same contact points that we would as best we can. Lots of WhatsApp channels flying around. That's probably the hardest thing to keep up with the pace that technology is making us work at, probably a lot faster than we were before. Everyone expecting you to respond almost instantaneously and forgetting that you sort of do still have a life and work outside of the phone. I think that virtual reality means that we probably lose some of the boundaries of that work-life balance, which is a risk we've got to manage.
Yeah, actually, that's a really interesting insight. And I always give myself a bit of solace around, if I had to drive from home to the city, it would take me, say, 45 minutes there and back. So I'm actually saving an hour and a half sitting in the car every day, which is a day a week. So I try and balance it up with that. Marita, you're going to say something?
About 3 weeks ago, I was the CEO of a small training college here in Perth. So I had to suddenly move a whole group of staff, support staff, and academics to work online, teach online, something they've never ever done before. So that was extremely hard. But yes, we put the systems in place and we kept connected. However, on Wednesday this week, I was terminated. So that sense of belonging to a group has now totally gone for me, because I have no group to belong to anymore. But luckily, I have a nice group of friends, and we were about 6 people that they terminated out of the company. They're just trying to reduce to maintain financially viable, which is a challenge. So the 6 of us, at first we started reminiscing and venting together. But we allowed ourselves about 1 hour to do that. And now we catch up every day. And okay, it's only been 2-3 days, but catch up every day and say, how are you? Where are you? Any jobs out there? What are you doing? What are you trying to do to keep healthy, to keep focused, and not to go into this very nasty negative spiral?
So, and it's good to have those networks.
Apart from searching for jobs and updating CVs and the normal things that we do, we're also trying to just take care of each other and to also support each other, whatever you're going through at this stage, because it's massive change to go from the role of a training college to no job suddenly in this environment is, that is huge. But we're trying to all keep together.
That's really interesting, Rita, to what you're saying, that if I think about Maslow's hierarchy of needs, from self-actualization right down to food, shelter, clothing, the basics, what I'm observing is as people have gone through this transition of change very quickly, they've rushed out and, they've sorted out the food, their shelter, their clothing, their toilet paper, like they've got all that there. And now they're looking at connectivity, so they've got the communication set up. So I think people are now starting to move into that rhythm of belonging. So having your formal networks are important. And I think that's the role that we play as leaders in the workplace, is how do we how do we move people up this hierarchy of needs so that, yes, they feel that sense of belonging, that confidence to then take them up to that next level? That's interesting.
But if I can have a comment there,
Sure.
I think what Janelle was saying earlier, you know, about there's a lot of really good karma out there about people trying to keep their teams connected, etc.
Yeah.
But in contrast to that, there's some actual the opposite side of the coin where you guys have heard of this program called Sneak. It's very like Zoom, right? Now, Sneak is from the US, and what Sneak does is, it's bizarre, isn't it, that they call it Sneak. So while we're all on camera here, even when we're not, say, on the program and dealing with each other like this in this sort of Zoom setup, when we're just sitting at home, right, the owners of Sneak, if they've got their whole system on it, can basically put everyone up on the screen and have a constant vigil of everyone in their organisation, whether they're sitting at their desks or not.
Okay.
Oh, that's awful.
No.
And so there's the blurring of the lines between privacy, or, you know, why then should we have to sit down and justify because we got up for 15 minutes to stretch our legs or make a cup of coffee? I mean, I don't, business owner, and I wouldn't implement a system like that with my people, but, you know, I'm just interested in what people think about that, because that's the creepy side of technology at the moment. You know, we're losing our privacy, and you know, they know so much about us, and
But also too, what you're talking about is if we're looking at connection, it's about trust. So, you know, if you think about, for example, the trust formula, which is credibility, reliability, and intimacy, like having that rapport with people, then how can we do that remotely with people so that, you know, and that's where I think a lot of the challenge for many leaders will be, is the aspect of trust, like letting go of their own ego in order.
Absolutely.
But if you look at the Dan Pink stuff will say, give people mastery, give people autonomy, and they'll just, you know, jump at trying to achieve what they want to achieve, as opposed to being micromanaged, which I think is interesting.
Can I add something there? One thing that I just really appreciated hearing from our CEO this week was that, and you know, as an exec group, we're focused not on profitability this year. And a couple months ago, we were in an acquisition mode. We were growing nationally. Everything was just going great guns. Now it's been communicated to every layer in our organisation that this year is just about survival. We just want to be here in the game at the, you know, the end of the year, or at the end of you know, this crisis. It's about survival. It's not profitability. So we want our key players to stay on the, you know, on our team, and so we're incentivizing them and letting them share as much in the rewards. So working from home, doing their telehealth consults, you know, they're sharing in as much of the profits, anything we can to keep them doing meaningful work and incentivized to stay there, rather than you know, have them feel like it's profits over people.
Yeah, really interesting. So I'm just,
and we're getting a lot of creativity and drive and innovation from it. So
yeah, interesting. So I'm just conscious of, I made the commitment for 20 minutes for this event. So maybe, John, I'll get feedback from yourself, and then Bilal, I'll let you have the final word, if you like, and then we'll wrap this up. So, John?
Yeah. I think it's very interesting, the work-life balance stuff. And what I find is that it's really the wrong thing, or I personally think it's the wrong thing to try and define that balance. I'm trying to define productivity and efficiency. What do I need to get out of a day when I know that the wife and the kids, or the husband and other members of the family are there, and you will never have a clean cut between people sitting down and doing their work and running their life at the moment when they're working from home. It'll be a blurred outcome. So in reality, it's what is the productivity that you're really looking for, and how can you work best to get that?
Yeah, look, I have to admit, I quite enjoy putting on a load of washing, putting it on quick 30,
Exactly.
working really fast for 30 minutes, hearing the ding, and then hanging it up outside, which is my mental break, and then coming back in. So I'm working in 30 minutes forever. Bilal, let's just say you can have the final word for the day. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you very much once again, Greg. So I think we have touched on really nice point by everybody here, and it comes down to, in my point of view, two things. Number one, if you're working in an organization, and what kind of culture, belief, and the core value the organization holds. And if you are a leader yourself, if you're kind of self-employed, if you are leading people, how you're putting those things into action, it now is the real time. How you take the personal responsibility and make the difference for yourself and for people. That is going to be the key, and that's what I really believe in. That's what I really practice now. So I understand people are going through change. My focus is totally changed towards, all right, guys, it's a difficult time. We got to get through it. We understand what kind of challenges you are going through. I'm putting exactly what other people have said, putting people before anything else. And this is the time when I need some discretionary effort. This is the time when I need my team to go that extra mile, and I won't be able to get that if I don't give them full-fledged trust. And that means really going beyond your own thinking of what people are doing or what are they not, giving them the personal responsibility and then holding them accountable. So if we are able to match those three things in a straight line, I think so that's where we can make either it be virtual or either it not be. I think so that's the thing that we not need to put into test either from ourselves or if you're working in an organization from the organization side. So yeah, that's what I think.
Yeah, well done on that, Bilal. Thanks for summarising, that so succinctly as well. Interesting is the company that Bilal works for is a Norwegian paint protective company, and their values are bold, respect, loyalty, and care. And I don't know if you saw this, Bilal, but Greta in Sandefjord, she received a bunch of flowers from the CEO. So anybody working from home in Sandefjord in Norway received a gift from the company that really supports the value of care and respect. And when I was thinking behind that really talks about putting people before profits, and it really shows the value of respect and care that comes from that. So I think that's really, for me, I thought that was really quite symbolic to do that. So look, I'm just conscious of time. We have gone over time, but I think this has been really valuable to connect. I thought it'd be a fun thing to do. Would you like to do it again at some point?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If so, do you think weekly, fortnightly, or monthly? Maybe you could just write that in the chat area. But I'm happy to do it again because I've quite enjoyed this connection aspect with everybody, and yeah, so it's good. Okay, so I think moving forward, as in the famous words of Sigmund Freud, innovation is brought about through pain. It's not that we're going through pain. I think we're going through a challenge, and we're just moving into innovation. And congratulations, 2030 has just arrived 10 years earlier. So we're getting a snapshot into what the future holds. So I think this is really quite a unique time. Thanks for coming along, everybody. I appreciate your input and your connections. So nice to reach out and connect with people. Bilal, when I'm back in Dubai, we'll have that cookies and cream ice cream again.
Waiting for that.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Amita.
Thank
Nice to
you.
see you again.
Thank you, everyone.